This is Frank Islam, Chairman and CEO of FY Investment Group, and your host of Tonight with Frank Islam. Today we're fortunate to have a multi-talented young person who is of Pakistani origin. And she's an actress, she's an activist, she's a multi-talented. And her name is Sarish Khan. Welcome to our show, Sarisha. Thank you for coming here.
Thank you for having me.
So it was wonderful to see you. So thank you. Tell us a little bit to us and to the audience about yourself, who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I hold myself as being a multifaceted modern day woman, and that's the standard I set for myself and the people in my life. I try to achieve that with my different careers that I have with acting, with law, and human rights work. So I'm always trying to break into different industries and try new things.
So as I understand, you were also Miss Pakistan USA 2015. So you obviously competed in the pageant. So I have a two-question one for you, Sarisha. What lessons have you learned from that experience, and why did you do what you did?
You know what? I'll start with why I did what I did. Around that time, I was in law school. I was in my second year of law school.
So you went to George Mason University, as I understand.
Yes,
a wonderful school.
Yes, absolutely. So I was in law school, and I remember it was finals time, and I was just looking at the TV monitors and all the updated news. And in 2014, Nina Duvallari won Miss America.
I do know her. I do know.
And you know
there was a India Miss. You're right.
Yeah.
She did. You're right.
She's of Indian descent.
She is of Indian origin.
And it was just this big uproar, and it was something so different because Miss America has, we've never had someone South Asian win that title or more or less even make it into top 5. But what really struck a chord with me was that she was a pre-med student. And I didn't grow up watching pageantry. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of the
So
pageant
that
system.
gave you the idea that you embraced that you could be one day would be like her.
Absolutely. I mean, Miss Pakistan USA is a much, much smaller pageant than
But
Miss
that's okay. That's the
America.
first step.
Right. But it just kind of paved the way that the way I saw her shedding light on different cultures, on the Indian culture, on South Asia, I just felt like that I wanted to be that, ray of hope for the Pakistani community
No
and girls
question.
who are in education.
Mm-hmm. So what lessons have you learned from that experience?
Oh my gosh, I've definitely a lot. I've learned that pageantry is very difficult.
It's a competitive process.
It is so competitive, and I think what you see on screen is so different than the whole process that you have to go through. I mean, I never realized how difficult it is, and you spend a full week being judged by different people, by different groups of people.
So sort of a little bit scary for you when you're so young.
It was very scary. I mean, to be honest, like I had modeled, but like a pageant walk is so different than a model walk, and there's so many little nuances.
But that was a good experience for you, Sarisha.
Absolutely, I loved it.
And now you're a judge.
Yes, I was a judge.
So let's suppose I am the person, which I probably would never be there, competing. What kind of question would you ask me?
Well, I'll tell you what my question was, and I think it was a wonderful question. I really wanted to ask that question, but I couldn't repeat it since that was my winning question. And it was.
What was the question?
It was what does it mean to be a woman?
What does it mean to you? So what does it mean to you being a woman? Tell us a little bit to the audience.
Absolutely, and that was my question, and I wasn't expecting it. It's a very difficult question to answer because it's so broad, but I really feel that being a woman, you take on so many different characteristics, especially in the 21st century where you're also a homemaker, but you're also a breadwinner. And I think that the strongest part about being a woman is that we have the God-given right of bringing life into this world. And I think that's something that no one can take away from you. For
Very
me,
well.
that's the
Very well said. Well, I'm a strong advocate of woman entrepreneurship, and I'm also an advocate to make sure that the woman can exploit the fullest potential and they can determine their own destiny. We should not confine them with the 4 walls. We should give them all the opportunities that the man has. And that's something that our culture and who we are, not as an American, but also as a South Asian, we need to give them the opportunities. I just wrote a column on this thing that we said that the 11% of the business being run by female in India, which is very sad and shameful, because that's the more than half the population that we have not given them the opportunity. So what you're doing is the wonderful, and I would hope that people in the audience will embrace the things that you are doing and which you intend to do to make sure that the women are given the opportunities. So wonderful thing to do. Good question also.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So as I understand, you're an actress also.
Yes, just starting.
So here's your transition now from the Miss USA, Miss Pakistan USA 2015. That's what you got your title. Then you became an actress. And do you think is that what you want to do? And what is this acting? What got you into the acting part?
That's a great question.
It was a natural phenomena for you to transition being the Miss Pakistan USA to being an actress?
Well, to be honest, I consider that I've always been an actress because I come from.
Acting.
I've always, honestly, I really do feel like as human beings, we're always playing some type of role, right? Like whether it's at work or whether it's in your personal life as a daughter, as a mother, or what have you. You're always, living in the confines of what society thinks is acceptable or what's acceptable in the workplace, and you have to respect that. So I think you're always generally playing a role. But beyond that, I come from a family of artists. My grandparents were both established artists in Pakistan, Sabia Khanum and Santosh Kumar.
So art transcends all boundaries.
I'm sorry?
Art transcends all boundaries.
Of course.
Art connects us, engages us. As President Kennedy once said, and I'm sure you have heard of me saying that the art nourishes the roots of our culture.
I absolutely agree. And I think, I've always been very expressive as a child.
So that's what got you excited to engage and involve being an actress.
Yes.
And so do you like this? Or is it, are you focused on it? What kind of things you want to do as an actress?
I definitely love it. I love being on set. I love playing a different character, especially one that's so different than who I am as a person. But it's hard because I do want to balance law with acting. It's always going to be a balancing game for me. And right now I'm back. I'm in New York a lot, working on a human trafficking project right now with a partner of mine. And I'm trying to find the best way to connect both art and activism. At the same time, I don't just want to focus on, humanitarian roles or characters. I also want to play the fun roles or the comedy roles. So it's going to be a struggle balancing both.
But it's the right thing to do.
It's the right thing for me.
So how do you measure success within acting roles?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think for me right now, and I think success can change as you grow in life and depending on your environment. But for me right now, it's really going to be the inclusion of South Asian artists in America.
So inclusion of the South Asian artists into the mainstream American media. Is that what you're talking about?
Absolutely.
And how do you inject yourself into that media, and what do you have to do to be visible so that you are counted?
I think you have to create. You have to create yourself. I don't believe in waiting on someone to give me a role that fits in with me, because let's be real, there's not going to be a vast majority of characters that are particularly for South Asian actors. But at the same time, seeing that Nina Davulari was Miss America, the girl next door very well might be a South Asian girl. So I think writing right now, you have Netflix, you have Hulu, you have so many original stories that you can put out there. So writing your own content, I think is the best way to inject yourself in the entertainment industry in the States.
So when we come back after the break, we're going to talk about a little bit more about your being an activist and also your accomplishment as an actress. So we'll come back in a minute.
अब आपका होगा अपना घर, सपना घर। Your dreams can come true. SAI mortgage is key for you. अपना घर खरीदने और रीफाइनेंस करवाने के लिए SAI mortgage से राब्ता करें।
Don't make a move without SCI.
welcome back to our show, Sarish. So we were talking about a little bit about your accomplishment as an actress. So what has been your accomplishment as an actress? Is that something you want to continue doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. I will keep continuing and pursuing acting opportunities. As far as like my biggest accomplishment, I don't think I've had that yet. I think my biggest accomplishment as an actor is pursuing acting. And I say that because I've met so many South Asians, particularly Pakistani, and women specifically, who are so talented as actors, as singers, as dancers, far more talented than me, but it's not even something they would consider pursuing just because their family isn't supportive or it's not accepted in society. So I think I'm very fortunate because my family is so supportive, and it's not even been it's not even been a thought in my head if I can or can't do it because of society. It's just been if I'm talented enough. So I think just taking that step of pursuing this career and being in acting because it's opened the door for other people, I think that would be my biggest accomplishment thus far.
Good. So you're looking for a brighter horizon.
Absolutely.
So let's just kind of shift the gears and talk a little bit about your activism. And I think you mentioned something about the social justice and human trafficking and so on and so forth. And how do you competing in the pageant and then going to being an actress, and now how do you become activism, and what kind of things you involve in it, and what is this all about, and why do you want to be that?
Absolutely. Well, I have been really my first exposure to humanitarian work and activism was through a nonprofit called CDRS. It's run by Todd Shea, and I think you know him well. Todd is doing such a magnificent job in Pakistan and starting new projects. And me, having grown up here, I met him when I was in high school, and I was so inspired by all the work he was doing. And really how he was bringing Pakistani culture to us Pakistani Americans, the youth in America that has been so disconnected with Pakistan. So I'd been working with him for many years on their Women Empowerment Project. And more recently, we've been able to turn it into more of a social entrepreneurship project. I've been raised by a single mother. My mom is a business owner, and it's I feel so blessed and so lucky that I've really had no repercussions of growing up with a single parent. And she's always been so motivating.
Your father passed away?
My father passed away when I was very young. So I was born in Lahore, and my mom up and moved us three sisters to the States alone, started her business, went to school. So I always felt like it was so easy. I did feel like things in life came easy because I had grown up with a mother who just did so much. And the first time I went to Pakistan,
this is because of your own personal experience,
absolutely,
that allowed you
absolutely,
to get into to become an activist.
Yeah, well, you know what really
Because you believe in it.
Of course, what really struck with me is I went to Pakistan and I went to some of the rural areas because my mom wanted me to have that exposure of how people live. And I just felt so sad knowing that there is so many women who are talented, who want education, who want to do things for their children, but they don't have the opportunities. So it really just kind of made me think that if I was a part of that society, maybe I wouldn't have been where I am and so openly pursuing different careers and opportunities.
You said it very well. So the question really is that you made a couple of points where you're empowering women so that they can create their own destiny.
Of course.
And that starts from education. Education is the key ingredient of success. Education empowers the mind and uplifts the soul. It's the gift that keeps on giving. If you are not given the opportunity to be educated, you will not be able to have the career that you have. So the question for you is, it has to start from the beginning, so the people has to be educated, and especially the women, the girls.
Yes.
They have all kinds of potential, but we need to make sure we can use their potential so that they can be whoever they want to be. Is that, and then, so obviously that kind of things that lacks in Pakistan, especially in the Muslim community, and you can sit here and talk about it, all kinds of reasons but the people like you who are future for Pakistan, for India, for the United States, as well as for South Asian people over here. So do you believe, if I was a young girl looking at you as a source of inspiration, what would you tell me in terms of getting education, stay in school, and following your footsteps?
Yeah, I think that I mean, there's obviously a lot of barriers to receiving proper education.
And how do you overcome those challenges and barriers?
Yeah, but I think, now with technology, which obviously it's not going to be so readily available in villages or whatnot, but I think there's always an opportunity to learn. It's just the people that you're around. We recently started a project with this group that I work with, which was educating people through a radio station. I think arts can be education. So I think it's the opportunities
And this project is where, in Pakistan?
It's a think tank of young individuals who are like South Asian American who are trying to find ways of educating people in rural areas who might not have internet. But radio is a big thing. Like you have people in India and Pakistan listening to the radio, listening to the cricket matches. So it's an easy way to reach the masses. But not only that, I do want to make one point that I think I worked on a project with UK Aid in Karachi. I lived there for a year working on education. And what I came to realize, it's not that people don't want education, and it's not that they don't want to send their kids to school. It's just that it's not so available, and it's also that finances are a problem.
So the barrier is the financial hardship.
Yes, which is exactly why I believe in social entrepreneurship, because it gives you the financial capability of letting your kids go to school. Because you have to think that a lot of these 12, 13-year-olds, they're bringing income in the house, especially in the villages. So, I've kind of shifted a little bit of focus from education to being financially stable. That's a debate that that can go on forever.
Well, once you grow up and you have a little bit of wealth, you can share and make other people successful. When they succeed, all of us succeed. America succeeds, Pakistan succeeds. But we got to give them the opportunity.
Yes.
So I want to kind of shift the focus from your actors being activists to the actors part of that. I think you have some kind of a film, and perhaps you can pronounce it correctly because I have a hard time pronouncing it. Chen and Na. Maybe I did not pronounce it correctly.
It's Chen I Na.
Very well said, and thank you very much for saying so.
Of course.
It's about violence against women. It's about the fighting for the gender equality. So you face some criticism, which you probably expected you will. So tell us a little bit about that film and what kind of criticism did you face, and how were you able to overcome the challenges of the criticism?
Well, it's I'd like to make a correction. It's actually the film itself is it's a love story.
It's a love story.
It is. It is. It's a love
between
story.
Between who and who?
Between the lead characters, which is Ryan and Ruba. But the part about it, which was picked up in media about violence, is there's a few scenes where the heroine slaps the hero, and then he slaps her back, and there was a lot of uproar against that.
So what's the theme of this movie, the film was?
The theme of the movie is it's love.
It's a love.
It is
love, but fight.
It's just very intense, passionate.
Intense, passionate.
Yes, and just societal values and arranged marriage, and so it's like an overall film about all these concepts.
So you're highlighting some of the problems and challenges associated with our community's belief and a culture, correct?
Yes.
The question that I have for you: how the people who will watch this movie that you're talking about, that will be able to learn the lessons from this thing, overcome those challenges?
Yeah, I think to be honest, I've been asked this question a lot, and I think the biggest criticism against me personally was why would I take on a character who wasn't empowered, right? Like there was a lot of questions about, this female lead character is not empowered, she's suppressed. Here's the thing, I don't feel like I need to select characters that align with who I am as a person, because if I just play myself on screen, I'm not acting. And, now that I think back on it, maybe I didn't read the character so far in depth, but I'm very proud of the decision I made, and I'm happy that I chose that character because it was so different than who I am as a person and what I would accept in my life. So, acting for me is all about learning different people's lives, and there's all sorts of stories in this world, not just mine.
That's all. That is a true statement, and you express this very eloquently and in an elegant manner. So the question is for you: was this film shown in Pakistan or other part of the world? Is it? Oh, okay.
Yes, it was.
And have you gotten some feedback from the people who watched it?
Yeah, I have. I've gotten a lot of feedback.
And the feedback mostly positive and negative?
It's been a mix, to be honest. It was shown in Pakistan. It was also shown in the States. We had a premiere in DC at Regal Cinemas in Sterling, and it was a mixed crowd. So I'll be honest. In Pakistan, the feedback I got was not so great as far as the content. As far as acting, it's been mixed. It's been that, yes, there's some potential, there's some things she needs to work on, which I love. It's my first film, of course. However, my friends here, who are Indian, who are, Caucasian, who all sorts of backgrounds, they were just excited to watch me on screen, to be honest. And they were just excited that I took on.
Excited to act.
Oh my gosh, yes, I was so excited. It was so thrilling to play something that's so different.
Right. Well, that's a wonderful experience for you, and we can all learn from your experience. And thank you for doing so.
Thank you.
We'll come back with Sarish in a minute. Thank you very much for watching.
अब आपका होगा अपना घर, सपना घर।
Your dreams can come true. SAI mortgage is key for you.
अपना घर खरीदने और रीफाइनेंस करवाने के लिए SAI मॉर्गेज से राब्ता करें।
Don't make a move without SAI.
Back to our show. So you mentioned before we started the discussions with regard to your interview that you went to George Mason University, which is not too far from here, and you got a law degree. So you are a lawyer.
Yes.
So actress, activist, and lawyer. So do you really want to pursue this profession? If so, what kind of area do you want to concentrate on?
Yeah, I'm absolutely going to pursue law. Just have to keep a balance. But I think I'm very much, at least at the moment, I really want to focus on international human rights. I think there's
and being a lawyer it will also play a key role for you in pursuing that kind of things that you're talking about.
Of course, because especially I want to focus on the lawmaking part of international law when it comes to human rights. As you, I'm sure, may know that the UN and a lot of international bodies regulate or have certain limitations of things you can do or areas you can step over into in an international sphere. And I think I want to work. I don't know so much about that particular international human rights law and where you need to kind of stop or where you need certain approvals. But I do want to work in that industry because I worked in Pakistan and we faced a lot of setbacks. A lot of setbacks being there as an American with UK aid and with the Department of State.
So you want to continue that profession?
I do.
International human rights?
Yes, international human rights, particularly in South Asia.
So do you want to go to Hague?
Maybe.
One day?
Maybe, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't, that's a very possible, future goal that I might have. But I think right now with acting and activism combined, it's great because I can use that kind of public pull to get projects done or get the ball rolling on social issues.
I would like to ask you a personal question.
Sure.
You are a Muslim by faith, as you know that I am a Muslim as well, and we have a shared faith,
yes.
Shared belief and shared background, and shared heritage, but not necessarily share history because I was born in India and you're born in Pakistan. So the question to you, do you confront hostility, prejudice, and discrimination because of A, your faith, B, your background and belief? And how do you overcome those challenges in terms of the obstacles that you have faced?
Yeah, You know, I do. I have, growing up, I've really struggled with culture and religion because, especially as a Pakistani, I think sometimes religion and culture is confused or overlapped with each other. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to say. It's hard to say. There's a lot of limitations that we have put on ourselves as Pakistanis.
But those are self-imposed restrictions.
Absolutely, absolutely. But it's also how you're perceived then in society. You know, a lot of backlash that I get sometimes on social media because of shoots that I might do or certain picture that I might post. You know, sometimes it's, you know, she's a Muslim, how can she do this? Sometimes it's she's a Pakistani. And it's interesting because I do feel like a lot more weight sometimes puts on the fact that I'm Pakistani and how can I do this, rather than I'm Muslim and how can I do this. So as far as religion, I think it's so personal. I mean, it's really between me and God. And you know, and especially now for the youth now, it's all based on someone else's interpretation, right? Like, I mean, I read the Quran in translation, and I can't say that when I read it, I understood the religion entirely. You know, you have to follow up with people's interpretation of certain aspects. And by no means am I a scholar. However, I do understand that there are certain things that are very clearly prohibited. And
you follow those guidelines.
I try my best to. I do, but I will say, you know, like, I mean, if I'm posting a picture or if I'm doing a shoot where I'm bearing my midriff, I very clearly understand that, you know, bearing your skin in that manner is not acceptable, and it's not a topic that you can really argue about. But, you know, it's something that's between me and God, and I don't think any person has a right to judge me on that, because at the end of the day, how I score up on my religion, no one else can know that, because you don't know what I do inside my home, or I don't, or what my intentions are, right? Like, I mean, I see it as like taking an exam. You could, not everybody gets the same score.
Very well
Even
said.
if you do, you could miss a different question. So
there's a little bit of misconcept about the Islam. Islam always stood for equality,
yes,
dignity, tolerance, and respect for other faiths. And so when there is something that happens in Pakistan and some other part of the world where that is not the case, the people ask the questions, and you have to stand up and be firm on it. That's not the Islam that ISIS preaches, because the fact that this is not the Islam that we know of. To me, they're criminals in some cases. Most of the cases they are, and most of their victims have been Muslims.
yes,
So my question to you is what I just said a minute ago, what Islam stands for. Did you feel any discrimination, any hostility that you share a city but not a community, you share a common dwelling but not in a common effort?
I really
Because of who you are?
Yeah, and you're talking in terms of working here or work. Yeah,
Working here.
Yeah. I actually really haven't, to be honest. I really haven't, and I'm not saying that's probably the standard. That might be the exception. And I think that's really because I grew up in Leesburg, Virginia, which is, predominantly a Caucasian community, and I never.
Well, it's very diverse now.
It is now, yes.
It's very diverse.
Growing up in high school, I mean, we had 7 or 8 minorities. I think.
So let me. I just gave a speech at John Preston Kennedy's library about a week ago, and we talked about diversity. I thought I should shed a light on you.
Of course.
Diversity is a strength for America. Diversity brings us together. Diversity makes us strong. And when we're together and when we're strong, we can build a fairer, stronger, inclusive, tolerant, caring, and compassionate America. And when we are together, we can help shape a better future for America. So that's the way I look at it. And I have obviously faced discriminations, but I still think that America has given me the opportunity, just like given you the opportunity to succeed. And we have to be grateful for America's kindness and generosity for giving us the opportunity to succeed. And you can do it, I can do it, anyone can do it.
I agree.
So let's talk about a little bit, shift the gears to talk a little bit about there's some Pakistani actor and actresses went to Bollywood in India, and they face a lot of, and they're not welcome because who they are. And there has been some hostility, and there has been some people throwing stone at them because they are who they are. But you do work with the Indian entertainment industry in the Bollywood. So how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm just starting the project Dance USA Dance with ZTV. And it's going to be based in the U.S. To be honest, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I don't concern myself in how people are going to perceive my decision. It's more important to me the purpose behind making a decision.
So you're going to be doing something on ZTV?
I am. I'm gonna be.
So ZTV is here.
Yes.
Oh,
in New
okay.
York. Yes,
They
yes.
just did a documentary on ZTV on me about 2 weeks ago. It was aired.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah. No, it's a
It's
great
I
team.
think what you're doing is the right thing to do. We need to bring people together.
Of course, like you said about diversity, right? We need to have inclusion. If I just step aside because of my background, then how are we going to get inclusion? And really, it's a dance show that is gonna. Dance is the best expression of your emotions or your feelings. And really, there's a side to the competition that brings in a social
So
aspect.
when this is going to be aired on ZTV? Have you started the process?
We've started. Yes, that's why I just flew in.
Oh,
from New
wonderful.
York.
I want audience to know and watch your show and
Absolutely.
learn from your experience also. Before we close this, our conversations, I would like you to give advice to the younger people, younger generations who aspire to be who you are, an actress, an activist, and a lawyer. What advice do you have for them?
I think that you should just follow whatever your heart desires. The most important thing, I know it sounds cliche, but the most important thing is being true to yourself. I think in life, no matter what decision you make, you're going to be criticized. There will be people that agree with you, disagree with you, but at the end of the day, if it's a decision you made on your own without influence, you will stand by it and you will be proud of it. So, really, genuinely listen to your heart.
Very well said. So she mentioned 3 things. Be the best you can be, exploit your fullest potential, be a lifelong learner, and the most important thing she said is stay true to you. Very well said.
Thank you.
And when you're successful, help other people to succeed and never ever forget your roots, where you came from. So thank you for coming, and thank you for talking to me, and thank you for talking to the audience and giving them a wonderful advice. And this is Frank Islam wishing you a great week. Thank you for watching.